Namaste, beloveds. This is Valerie AMES, aka Mother with Wisdom. And I'm just going to get into it because my light is fading. But this is some very deep information that has come forward, and I just want to go ahead and relay it. This, I'm just going to give it. I am the way, the truth, and the light, consciousness, and existence. A tipping point has been reached across the globe. We witness the masses entreat to impeach. And beloveds, what that simply is stating is that the United States right now is looking to impeach 45. But if you look globally, there is a global unrest with the population, period. And everybody is wanting answers. Everybody is wanting change. Everybody is focusing now on the need to change. And we're looking at which direction to go. And the direction that most everybody is looking at right now as one is that the old system of things is not working. And it has to go. And it is now the majority of human beings that want this kind of change globally across the board. And we're realizing that it's not just groups and segments anymore that is important. There are a few that want to keep things tribal and limited to this and limited to that select group or elite group or superior group or whatever you want to call it. But the majority is now realizing they are the majority. And the majority has the power. And without the majority, that little minority or that little elite can't do diddly squat. And as more and more wake up and support this kind of change, change will come into place. It is a process. It is a painful process, but it is necessary. Okay, let me keep going. What this is just a little poem or prose or just some sacred writing that came to me. You can take it however you wish. I'm just going to share it. But what first appeared was I am the way, the truth, and the light, the consciousness, the conscious existence. And then I saw an hourglass, and I saw a hand turning that hourglass over, and I was told to watch the sand. And when all the sand came out, I was told what is still there. And then it flipped back over and started all over again. The process started all over again. So that was very deep for me. That was very profound. It has many, many different messages. Some were specific revelations for me, and I'll let you interpret it how you and your spirit need to interpret it for yourself. And here's the piece that came from that. Sand in a glass represents how we relive our past. Empty or full, push or pull, existence is an eternity. Turn iti. E pluribus unum. The sand never runs out. That is the illusion of the mind's intrusion, all put in place to keep up the confusion. That in the container there's a being, a beginning, and an end. No matter how many times you turn it upside down, time seems to run out. But the truth is, It only reblends. There is nothing new under the sun because all began as one. Shadows are the foundation. Oh, okay. And that piece. That was that piece. It ended with there's nothing new under the sun because all is one. And like I said, beloveds, that was very deep for me in looking and understanding time, especially right now with Saturn being in retrograde, and it's a karmic retrograde. And so you have all this stuff coming up that has to be emptied so that you can begin a new karmic free chapter, which means you have to forgive yourself. You have to let go of all that stuff. You have to rework it. You have to do what you need to do to move forward and to go forward with a clean slate of karma. So apologize, pray, write it down, do whatever you need to do. If you need to talk to those person or persons, whatever you need to do it to release it. Okay? And understand that with you doing that, it changes the vibration of that karmically for you and for that situation and the earth and everything. So it's important. It's very important to understand the sands of time and to understand the repetition. And like I said, the whole thing with I am the way, the truth, and the light, conscious existence. When you turn it over, you allow all the sand to pour out into the bottom half. You think the other half is empty, but it is not. There's a space still there that contains energy. You just can't see it. And so when you flip it over, you flip over the sand, and that sand reblends with what is in that space. And all you see is the sand. But what was before the sand still exists. So that was very deep to me. Like I said, you take it to how you want to take it. And I'm just going to keep going. Standards are the foundation of the powers and principalities upon which I stand. The spectrum is infinite. Vastness between black, the container, and while what rises out of ascends, transcends, transmutes, only to bend the illusion, is always optical of what can be seen and what cannot be seen. But all are one. Verse of Zion, vision. Verse of Zion, vision, version. All are one. And when I said standards are the foundation of the powers and principalities, for me that goes back to the hourglass that you turn over and don't build your houses upon the sands. And why? Because the sands shift and move and change, and they can be flipped upside down and everything. So don't build your houses upon the sand. And these are standards. And the powers and principalities, which we're going to get into a little bit later, they understand the universal laws. Okay? And let me just keep going. Out of black comes every ray of light, every spectrum, every prism of color. And when the spectrum has reached white hot, the black becomes unseen. Then and only then does the white appear pure or ultraviolet, violet, which is blue blackness beyond time and space. Thus the curving convexing of the rainbow. And beloveds, the other day I posted what was called a dark rainbow on my Facebook page, Valerie AMES. And I had not, unless I had forgotten what a dark rainbow was, but that kind of reinforces everything. I am the way, the truth, and the light. And like I said, all of this is the foundation of time, the time flowing, and time reversing and repeating itself because it's the same sand. You don't take the sand out and replace it. It's the same sand that goes from, that descends and turn it back around and it ascends and descends, and it's the same. And what I was shown the um, with black being the space, or the unseen being in the space when all that sand runs out of that top one. It's that's the principalities and the infinite vastness and spectrum that is black, or the unseen, because black holds all of it. And black allows the colors to transcend and transmute other colors, which is bending the illusion. So let me keep going. Um, I am humbled beyond words to be conscious of the unconditional love that is formless, but that has humbled itself to exist in my form of existence. There is no greater love than this, and to exist as anything less than that, I am unconditional love, is to truly be an infant of the divine. And that is why a child shall lead them. Now, beloveds, I got very emotional with this after receiving this and really understanding it, because it really lets you know that even in that hourglass that we call time, formlessness, non-existence, and existence is all in there along with the sand. And it never runs out. And it never leaves. It's there with you every step of the way. Whether you're descending down into the other bottom half of that hourglass to be turned back up, unconditional love is always there. It is always there. So we really need to understand that there are forces that are non-seen, that cannot be seen with the physical eye, but they exist nonetheless. Just like what we call germs or so forth and so on. There is a microcosmic world that we know of. There's also a spiritual world. And that spiritual world cannot be observed by most with the physical eye. And what this is saying is that we should be humble to understand that kind of love, that which created the entire universe, dwells with us and inside of us and is us. And we cannot separate ourselves from it, no matter how many times we flip that hourglass. Let me keep going. And that is why a child shall lead them. The age of the child is the Aquarius age. It is turning lead into gold. And beloveds, when I wrote that this morning, that was also that hourglass. And the child is the child that is realizing itself. And the child sees all the things, feels all the things, interacts still with the unseen. It laughs and giggles and plays or is frightened depending on the energies that are around it. But the child is aware. And it is not a foreign consciousness. It is of the same consciousness. That's why the child recognizes it. And you have to be this humble. You have to be completely egoless. You have to be that clean slate. You have to be that karma-less. Because if you understand the fruitage of the spirit, you don't sit up there and count how many times you did something wrong or how many times somebody did something wrong to you. That is the clouds that are passing. That is the experience that's necessary. Those are the ways of learning. Okay. I wrote this at 10:18 this morning. 10:18 is 28. 2 and 8 is 10. It all goes, and 10 is 1. So, the age of the child is the Aquarian age, and it is turning lead into gold. And beloveds, turning lead into gold, that just blew my mind when Spirit gave me that. As a writer, as a mother, as a woman, just thinking about turning lead into gold. And the reverse of that, the flip side of that, is turning gold into lead. And that is what the elite did to us. And I'm going to get into that, but I want to prep you for it a little bit so that you perk up a little bit and can receive it. This is ancient alchemy. And you need to understand this is ancient wisdom. And so when it was shown to me, like I said, with this hourglass and with the sand and with the words, I am the way, the truth, and the light, existence, consciousness, conscious existence. This is very key to us moving forward as collective beings on a new earth, as new beings, getting rid of the old ways that have not worked and going back to, it's like when you reset your phone or you have to reboot your computer, reset it all the way back to the factory settings. We are getting ready to reset ourselves all the way back to the factory settings. So all of that genetic, all of that traumatic, all of that other stuff, that is experience. But we know that we have been conditioned. We was gold. We were the gold. We were golden children. We went through golden ages. And then something happened. And we became lead children. Okay? Gold plated. Turning green and all this kind of stuff. Okay? But here we go. Let me get to it. I am the stone that the builders of the world refused. They are the illegal aliens in my world. I am designed to overcome my circumstances, whatever they may be. Loud, proud, and in my face, or silent to quiet, passive aggressive. Existence, I am that. Inner G, Mau Mau. Now, beloveds, I am the stone that the builders of this world refused, which means, once again, going back to the hourglass and the sand being in the glass. That sand in the glass is used to count time. I am different from that sand. Okay? My conscious being cannot be put in a glass and turned upside down and upside down and inside out and all of this. What is coming up in me is that's not my foundation. My origin or my beginning is beyond time. And that is what I am remembering. And that is what I mean by I am the stone that the builders of this world refused. Because I would not support those lies. I would not support anything other than unconditional love. I am not one to how can I say? And I don't want to keep using the word I am. Because when I do that, I want to say, I use I as a collective, beloveds. EYE, not I, me. I, my totality, my whole ancestry before coming into existence, before just a thought. So this is what I mean when I say I am that stone. And there are many stones like me that would know we can't use that one, put it back. The energy on that, no, we can't use that one, put it back. Throw it away, do whatever. No, that can't be used. And what was shown to me, beloveds, was the pyramids. And we get into the masons with that. We get into the stone builders. We get into the brick builders. We get into alchemy. We get into all of this. We get into geometry, universal mathematics, all of this. Okay? But you have to understand the substance and the materia and the material and the matter that was used to form those stones. Okay? You have to understand from a geological point of view the alchemy and the time of those stones and what those stones that are just like crystals, the energy that they had absorbed. And also the prayers, blessings, and everything else that was used by the builders to build. And in the manners that they were built in that was sacred. Okay? So once again, I am the stone that the builders of this world refuse. This world is man-made. I am spiritual. I do not fit in this world, this man-made world. And what got deep for me was that the way I was, because I wrote it at first, I am an alien in their world. And I was told, no, that's wrong. They are the illegal aliens in my world. Because nothing can exist without spirit. And so with everything that's going on right now, this exodus in our generation and the refugees and the immigrants, it is an exodus. It is a repeat that happens. The census has existed way before modern times. But to be told that this man-made world is the illegal alien. And then to hear once again the words vibrating and reverberating, I am the way, the truth, and the light. You know, I'm saying this was very, very deep for me, and I'm still processing it. But I needed to share it simply because it is so yummy and juicy and good. And with everything that's going on right now, this is really necessary for those who are awakening, for those who are woke, and for those who just want to raise their vibration. It keeps you grounded, it keeps you centered. It also raises your frequency because that's my intent. That's my intention now. When I do these and I speak these and I write these, it is to raise the frequency. It is no longer just me. Oh, Val, I'm just journaling and I'm doing it for me. And if you get something, that's your business. This is the collective speaking. And it is intent on raising the frequency. Simple as that. They are the illegal aliens in my world. My world is spiritual. I try to keep it as spiritual as I can. I try to keep it as real as I can. And that for me is a labor of love. It is not something that is hard work, so to speak, because I'm a lazy person. I'm lazy because I like to observe and I like to feel and I like to see and I like to hear. I just like to experience things and take them apart and so forth and so on and analyze them. And that's just always been my nature. And like I said, a lot of people see that as being different. And I'm an alien in their world because they don't do things that way. And they're aliens in my world because they don't do things that way. So it's like I said, it's really a learning process. It's really adding to the vastness and the richness that is the awakening and expansion of my own consciousness, my own acceptance as consciousness. Let me say it that way. And we need to understand that we are designed to overcome circumstances. We are designed to overcome circumstances. That's why we have reached this point. So we can transcend, transmute, ascend, mend, be reborn, be rebooted. And no matter what comes at you, whether it's loud and aggressive or it gets up in your face, you are existence. It is existence expressing itself. Let it express itself the way it needs to. You observe it from the place that you are. If you need to express your energy back, yelling and screaming, do it. If you can do it from a calm, centered place, do it. If you feel moved to cry, to speak your truth, do it. There is no right or wrong way. We are expanding out of the old way of being. Allow the expansion. And if whoever is in front of you and they are not doing this venting to unload themselves or to express themselves so they can expand, then you need to say you're just enjoying what you're doing. You're totally in your ego right now, and I'm not going to participate. I will listen to you vent, because I would want somebody to listen to me. And I've been you. So I'm you, calm and looking at you, allowing you to speak and say whatever you need to say. And then just be that. Just do that. Don't have to be right or wrong. It's not a competition. And if it's passive or quiet or sneaky or passive aggressive, same thing. Same thing as if it's loud and in your face. Just let them know, I see you. I used to be you. I'm on some other stuff right now. And you trying to get there whether you know it or not. You just expressing yourself, and I hope you're really aware of what you're doing. You're feeling these feelings, but what's underneath them? Who are you? What's the lesson of it? Where you going with it? Where do you want to go with it? How can I serve you? How can I help you get there? Beloveds, many things were made very plain to me. So I am just going to get straight into it. The pyramids all over the earth represent the sacred knowledge of the universe. Universe, one verse, one song. Sacred knowledge of the universe. The pyramids all over the earth represent sacred knowledge of the universe. They were the symbols of the first universities. And beloveds, when Spirit had me break that word down, it blew my mind. Universities, universal cities, universal cities, cities of the universe. Think of the different pyramids all over the world. These represent universal cities, cities that are in the universe, in other dimensions, in other galaxies, and of the universe. These are the cities on this earth plane, in the spirit realm of this earth that holds space for it. Still, the pyramids all over the earth represent sacred knowledge of the universe. They were the symbols of the first universities, universities. You dig? They were different cities of the universe with different races, different philosophies, different ways of looking, but the same way, just like that saying, just like it began in the beginning. I am the way, the truth, and the light. Conscious existence. So conscious existed in this city. Conscious existed in this city. It was expressed like this. It was expressed like this. It was expressed like this. Let me keep going. The first universal city that we can recognize in our times is the universal city of Babel. And beloveds, we all know this story. And I want you to understand it from this perspective of all the beings in existence, the elementals, the leprechauns, the fairies, the human beings, the animals, the everything, okay, spoke one language. They were all able to communicate with each other. And they began building what was called a tower. But this tower was a pyramid, and it was a university pyramid, okay? this is what they were going for. And they built it, and they said it got so high. And I want you to understand that that high that it got was not a physical height. It was a consciousness. Okay? And that first universal city that we can recognize in our time is the universal city of Babel, where unconditional love, peace, and unity flowed uninterrupted until certain ones of the Elohim, okay, certain ones of this, of the galaxies, of all of these beings that were here that spoke the one language, a certain group of them got together, and they didn't like this. They were like, oh, hecky shecky nah. They getting up there with us now. They trying to in a minute they'll be higher consciousness than we are. They're low on the totem pole. What we can't allow this. And by what was being accomplished, they were frightened by what was being accomplished by what they considered lesser beings. Okay? That what was going on with these lesser beings, these human beings, they rising too fast and too quick, and they coming up in their knowledge and in their wisdom, and their spirits is becoming vast, and in a minute they gonna catch up with us. They gonna be like us. We can't let that the Elohim say, nah, a certain portion of the Elohim say, we gotta stop this. And how their consciousness was growing and developing, that soon these lesser ones would be on the same conscious frequency as them, and that would never do. The Elohim were the watchers. They were the gods. They were superior. Do you understand that? These Elohim are the ones that were the gods. They were the ones that taught the building. They were the ones that taught the alchemy. They were the ones that taught these human beings, these beings, how to be, how to exist, how to stand up, how to be civilized. Okay? But then, as they saw how good that was going, wait a minute. They ain't gonna need us to be their gods in a minute. They gonna know everything like we know. Oh, nah. We got to do something to stop this. And these human beings, these were the star seeds. These were the children of the gods. This was us, beloveds. We had gotten to such a high state of consciousness that it was paradise. Okay? That consciousness could be called paradise. That consciousness was everlasting life. That consciousness was unconditional love. That consciousness was the truth and the light. It was the way. That consciousness was the child of the Elohim and the earth and the realms and the galaxy and everything else. Let me keep going. And these star seeds were not going to be allowed to develop in this manner. So they got together and decided to confuse them and wipe away their memories. They divided them by language, by words, by thoughts, and by desires. So, beloveds, and when they did this, they tore down the temple, stone by stone, brick by brick. Because how do you build? You build with words. Words give you the imagination. Words give you the dreams. Words give you the desires. Words allow you to express and communicate yourself. Words connect to you. And so they didn't kill these star seeds. They did something a lot worse. They took their language away from them. They took the ability to communicate with each other, heart to heart, from each other. Okay? That way of knowing yourself, they took that away. Or they erased it or made you forget that you had it or whatever. So what was shown to me was that was the tearing down of the temple, because the temple is your body. And collectively, you have to understand what that temple was. That was church for real. Can I get an amen? Everybody speaking the same language from your heart. Everybody with the same vision. Everybody doing everything to raise consciousness, to expand and to express existence. There was no war, there was no death, there was none of that. The golden children were all turned into lead. And that was shown to me alchemically. And that was done with taking the languages away, with splitting up the languages. What was golden now became lead, became a paperweight, became lead. It became lead because it forgot that it was gold. And it forgot how to be gold, because the ego now was the lead. They were no longer spiritually led, which made them golden. Now they're led by flesh, mind, body, urges, so forth and so on. Words of war, words of this, words of superiority, words of competition, words became their God. And they became led. As each generation sunk more and more into the material world, detaching from the mother's milk of the universe. And I was shown that our frequency grew smaller and smaller. Our frequency to comprehend with everything that was outside of us, light years away and so forth and so on. It began to diminish. Our abilities to communicate with elementals, to understand and understand and to intermix with them and intermarry with them and all these different kind of things. The division caused all of this because we could no longer speak to each other. We no longer had the same consciousness. Which has enough wisdom to feed all. They began to compete, to kill each other, to keep what had materialized in this world that they had built. What started out as one universal city now scattered and became many, with many different ways of being, somewhere natural of being. Somewhere natural life, nature-based. Okay, let me start over. With many different ways of being. Some were natural life, nature-based. Some were unnatural life, death, nature-based, which required, some had offerings of fruit and vegetables, crafts, and some offered humans, animals, some even their own children. Universal laws were now manipulated, followed by some broken followed by some and broken by others. Families turned against each other, just as strangers turned against each other. And beloveds, again, this is because of words. In the beginning was the Word. And if you don't understand that you are the Word, that you are existence, and you begin to worry about non-existence, and you begin to think non-existence is greater than existence because of the temple being destroyed. This was the amnesia that set in, that non-existence is now to be worshipped. Death. And you can dress it up as pretty as you want to. But that is what turned us into lead. And we think we're golden, but we're not. Not until you get that right alchemy going and that right consciousness going. And that is how this was shown to me. Families turned against each other. And not only the royal families, beloveds, but the common families. Everybody, until it became a way of life. Until it became, oh, family fight, that's normal. No. In the golden ages, no. In unconditional love, no. When you know the true way and you are the true light of existence, no. Nothing is new under the sun. The sun shows us the way, the truth, and the light. The sun ascends and descends. And again, beloved, this was that hourglass. That is the sign, the symbol of the highest communication. So, when the language changed, the way we understood the sun changed. Our connection with the sun changed. We saw when the sun went down, that was dark, that was death, that was shadow, that was something to fear. Okay? And this became imprinted in us. And some valued the sun rising, ascending, and they worshiped that. They respected that. That is how their lives were geared to. They spoke that way, while others spoke the sun setting and the lesser light, which is the moon that controls your feelings and emotions. But the sun controls your spiritual self. It illuminates. Let me just read that again. The sun shows us nothing is new under the sun. The sun shows us the way, the truth, and the light. And this is not just about Jesus, beloveds. This is about the actual sun. This is what you need to understand. Metaphysically, literally, alchemically, however you need to put it to get it. Get it. The sun shows us the way, the truth, and the light. Ascend or descend. That is the sign, the symbol of the highest communication. Just as our emotions are groomed, I can't read my writing, are governed, okay? Thank you, Mama. Just as our emotions are governed by the moon, our spirit is governed by the sun. That is why we can feel high or low. We have been in the low energy frequency and vibrations. The universe is aligning wormholes, dimension shifts, geometric windows, doors, and gates. Very ancient ones are being activated. Prophecies have been foretold and fulfilled. The case of humanity has reached another ending of an age based cycle, cipher, season, session. It's now time to turn the lead back into gold. This is spiritual alchemy. It begins by restoring what was changed. The words are the building blocks of identity. The identity being, I am the universe. I will study myself and know thyself. All else is vanity and the works of the flesh, which means you did not learn the ultimate lesson that you are existence. And I'm going to say that again because that is just so very powerful, beloveds. That is so powerful. In the beginning was the word. And I'm being told the words are the building blocks of identity. And going back again to the hourglass with the sand in it and the bricks being built from sand, the pyramids being built from sand and limestone or whatever it was built from. You have to understand that is the spiritual alchemy. And that spiritual alchemy formed an identity. And that identity is I am that. I am the universe. These universal cities taught you are the universe. You are the elements. It taught astronomy. It taught geometry. It taught all the sacred. It taught medicine because everything, if you are the universe in this biological being, then you needed to learn your biology and how the universe was connected. Just like how a woman, her hormones and the moon itself govern her menses. And when women get together, they don't even have to know each other or be related. Their menses will start flowing together at the same time. That is universal knowledge. The ancients knew this. They spoke the same language. There was no sickness and cancer and this and that because there wasn't a difference in the language. The body spoke the same language as everything around it. The energy was aligned. The consciousness was aligned. When the language got cut, divided, division, and divisive, so did death began. Non-existence was admitted out into the open, and non-existence now took over. You don't know who you are. So how are you going to exist if you don't know who you are? You have fragments and memories and other people tell you different stuff and there are all these different ways all around the world and some you feel really drawn to and others you like the universities. And think of what we do with the universities that we have now. And each city has a university in it. Most capital cities have universities. There are some universities that are more known for certain processes, ways, educations, and means than others. Some are more prestigious than others. Some teach from a higher level than others. You have universities and you have community colleges and you have all of this to teach you awareness of who you are. But instead of concentrating on who you are and how that you are part of the land and how to take care of you and the land and communicate with it and communicate with everybody, we have learned how to make money from this. And if that people is living on that land, we got to evict them off of it. We got to kill them off of it, or we got to restrict them to that little unproductive part over there. They can have that. Because we don't identify with them. We're different than them. We speak a different language. We use different words. Our words have different values than theirs do. The ultimate lesson is you are existence. And that is what is going to lead us back into the golden age, back into the golden way of being one, oneness, one collective, working together. Because without an earth, it don't matter what color you are. You ain't gonna have no place to live. Your babies ain't gonna have no place to live. So there needs to be a reckoning. And we need to learn how to speak to each other because we are the same. And we want the same things, regardless of how we see us getting there. We want the same things. We all want to be healthy. We all want our children to be well educated, to know who they are, and to be known by the content of their character, by their integrity. We all want love, connection, freedom, and no judgment. This is what we have to learn. And I think we're getting there, beloveds. No matter the upheavals that you see, no matter the eruptions that are taking place, these things have to happen in order for us to get back the identity that we lost and our ability to communicate with each other and our ability to relate with each other and our ability to relate with the seen as well as the unseen and to incorporate it into our life and our lives and teach our children this. You are convinced you missed the mark. Instead of focusing on life, you focus on death. Thus, you die. Thus, you fail the course. Thus, you are kicked out of school, out of the university, and you have to be reborn and start all over again. Thus, you have fallen into sin, which is a reincarnation cycle of karmic debt that must be paid until a certain time has passed, and then a shift occurs in your words And once again, you begin to focus on life, reversing the alchemical process. And once again, you know yourself as the sun, as the light. I am the way, the truth, and the light. I am conscious existence, the golden child, whose will and words allow him to arise. And arise was also Osiris, to arise, or to set, like Osiris and Horus and all of the other Egyptian universal cities. And we have those legends, stories, words. Know thyself. And we have taken them to mean so many things. But we are getting back to the original language of existence. And those words will have one meaning, no matter how they're sounded out or how they're spelled, or if somebody has an accent saying them or whatever. The vibration and the frequency will be there because it will be built and it will come from the heart, which is universal love, the frequency of universal love. And it'll be received as such. But before you can give that universal love to anyone else, you have to arrive at that place within yourself to be able to hear it and speak it and know it. This is who I am. I am unconditional love. I am existence itself. That is my consciousness. That is my consciousness. That is my awareness. That is my identity. I am that. And the more you sit with that, the more you begin to expand, the more you begin to allow other people, and you see their limitations, and you say, you're going to work it out, because I worked mine out. You're going to work it out. You just got to do it in your own way. It's a process. You're going to find it. And know that. And that's the frequency that you emit. Even when you feel down and tired, Lord knows right now with all of these storms and everything else going on, me being empathic and picking up all of this stuff, my knee almost gave out a couple of times. And I've been like, oh, I don't want to get up. But I make myself keep going. Because that too is part of a language. That too is part of you communicating with yourself. And you have to have a higher will than the will of this body. You have to say, if I have to get there crawling, I'm going to get there. If it take me one step and I had to sit down and rest for two, I'm going to get there. It's this will. And it is this, that's self-love. Because whatever you're going to get to, you know that's what your spirit needs. And if your spirit needs it, then your flesh needs it. And you make it do what it do. And yes, you may fall down and it may hurt. And people gonna point and laugh. But baby, get up. Because that's their stuff to work out too. And once upon a time, you may have pointed and laughed at them. But this is the truth and the way and the light. This is the consciousness. This is the way of the sun. This is the golden children. This is, like I said, you look all the way as far back as you can. They say the very first religion or first spirituality was the worship of the sun. And I need you to understand that on so many different levels. I want you to think about that on so many different levels. In my other video, I said that now that fall is here, that the days are getting longer. What I meant was the days are getting shorter. And because the days are getting shorter, there is a shift in your energy. It's natural. Some have a hard time simply because there's less sunlight. That's alchemy. It affects them mentally and spiritually. They become down. They become depressed. They become sad. Simply due to the sun, not getting as much sun. There's so much that we need to understand. And there are those energies, like I said, that are going to be punished for doing what they did knowingly. And I don't care how many different religions, what you think about energy, all of this and all of that, the simple universal law is what you put out there comes back to you. And so these Elohim, the same division is going to visit them. The same amnesia is going to be visited upon them. The same karmic, what's the word? Reincarnations are going to be theirs. And they know this. And they are going to be in the hell realm. And they're going to have to ascend up out of it. The same way we are getting there, they are going to have to go through this. This is existence and non-existence. These are the universal laws. Universal. No matter what galaxy, no matter what planet, no matter what nation, denomination, entity, alien express, whatever you think you are, you abide by universal laws, baby, or you don't exist. Even non-existence abides by universal laws. So there is a reckoning. There is a turning around. And there is, beloveds, this understanding that we have of death and time. What was first given with that hourglass is the reckoning itself. There is no death. There's only a turning and a rebirth. Just like with agriculture, you have to turn that ground and replant. The universe turns. That's why we're getting to this age again. And everything has to align. Just like in a tumbler, in combination lock. You have to get the right numbers for it to unlock. Universally, we are getting the right combination that is unlocking all of this information. I am not the only one receiving it. And it is one message, it is one way, it is one language, and it's a universal language. And if you open your mind, you'll hear it and you'll know the truth of it. Measure the truth, measure spirit by spirit. Look into it. Sit down and think about it. Quit being so distracted with so many things and see what's right in front of your eyes and see who you truly are. Okay, beloveds, that is going to do it. I'm going to actually pull just. Okay, beloveds, I was told to pull cards and I was going to use Esther Hicks, but Spirit said to get the Medicine Woman deck. So let's see what we get. Okay, I don't know what just happened, but I hope everything is everything. So we'll see. Thank you, beloveds.